We're beginning on the multiple choice portion. In this portion, which is Section 1, Part B, you are allowed to use a calculator and you have 40 minutes to complete 12 problems. So let's talk about how we can complete this particular problem. Remember, it's always going to be multiple choice and you have 4 different options. So here's one option to complete this problem. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in condensed form. So I have the ln of x squared making the 2 into an exponent, and I know that subtraction turns into division, divided by the quantity x minus 1 equals 4. I also know that ln is the same as log base e. We're going to come back to this portion a little bit. Now in exponential form, it looks like e, the base raised to the opposite value, equals, in this case, x squared over x minus 1. We're going to come back to this in the second half of this video. Alright, so I'm going to take this portion here, and algebraically I could solve this knowing that I can always press 1 on the very bottom of any value, and I'm going to cross multiply. E to the 4th times the quantity x minus 1 equals 1 times x squared, which is x squared. I'm going to distribute to get e to the 4th, which is just a value, times x minus 1 times e to the 4th equals x squared. Now let's put everything on the side with the x squared. So when I move this over, it becomes negative, and when I move this over, it becomes positive. And what I recognize here is that I have a quadratic equation. So I'm going to go up here and type in this quadratic equation as I have done. Then I'm going to go to Windows, and when I look at my choices, notice that my choices could be 1 and possibly all the way up to 53. So I went past that point and I graphed it. Now let's make sure that we get those exact answers. I'm going to go second trace to find the 0. I know it's between 0 and 1 based on the fact that I believe it is 1.019. So 0 to 2, excuse me, it's in between. And we can see we get the exact answer, 1.019. Let's try this one, second trace 0. And this one, if this is 53, it's going to be between 50 and 60, just choosing a number to the left and right. And it looks like this is 53.579. Okay, now remember this about logs. So ln, natural log, is just a special type of log. The base and the value behind it, these two values have to always be greater than 0. They're always going to be positive values. Keep that in mind. So when I plug in 1.019 into this location, it's still positive. And when I take 1.019 and I subtract 1, it's still positive. Okay, same with 53. When I plug in 53 here and 53 subtract 1, they're both still positive. So I feel confident the answer is C. But could I have achieved this answer without doing all the algebra? Let's check. So in this form, if I take this answer, and let's try it. So let's take 1.019 and let's divide it by 1.019 minus 1. Okay, oh, I forgot to square this first part. Let me bring this back here. 1.019 squared divided by 1.019 subtract 1. Okay, so what is that doing for me? Well, I want to know, is that equivalent to e to the 4th? Let's check. E to the 4th. They're equivalent. So without doing all of this math, but by just writing it in this form, I can check off that this works. Let's try the same with 53. So I'm going to take 53.579 and square it, and I'm going to divide it by 53.579 minus 1. Does it equal e to the 4th? It sure does. And without doing all that work and simply condensing it and writing it in exponential form, I can just test the solutions. And I tested both the 53 and the 1.019. They both work. C is the correct answer.